Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin just hit a new all-time record high for the price of Bitcoin, and we're getting extremely close to confirming the next significant breakout here. But in the meantime, in the shorter term, we are now flashing a short-term warning signal that we need to pay attention to, and this could soon confirm on this price chart. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about my exact trading strategy and why I just took profits from my Bitcoin long position alongside Ethereum and XRP, which is still getting extremely close to breaking below these key levels of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart, and right now the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bullish trend. And if we're taking a look at this weekly time frame, at least for now, we're still forming lower highs in the RSI, which means we're still potentially forming a bearish divergence on this weekly time frame. But at least for now, this new bearish divergence is not currently confirmed, it's just possibly forming. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, we're still playing out that bullish crossover, as I've been saying over the last few weeks, but clearly for over a month now on the channel, if you've been paying attention, I've been talking about this bullish momentum that is building in the price of Bitcoin. And so overall, on these larger timeframes here, nothing much has changed over the last one day. We're still looking bullish, obviously. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day time frame, for now, we're running into a bit of resistance based at around the all-time highs at approximately 109,000, give or take. Once again, I've been saying, expect at least some short-term resistance around there, around the highs. But obviously, once we see a confirmed breakout, confirming candle closes ideally above the all-time highs, so confirming a candle close above around 109 to 110,000. In that situation, of course, that will officially confirm a breakout into new all-time highs. But technically speaking, just a matter of hours ago, we just recently actually hit a new record all-time high very briefly for the price of Bitcoin. And obviously, ever since we saw these breakouts all the way down here at around 88,000 and especially at around 98,000 at those levels right here, I said we have now significantly increased the probability that we're going to continue to head towards all-time highs. And obviously right now we've just hit a new all-time high. And so despite seeing short-term rejections here and there on the smaller time frames, technically the price structure is still clearly bullish right now. The momentum is bullish. And if we're taking a look at this daily time frame, once again, we're still finding a bit of resistance around the all-time high at around 109, 110k, give or take. But as for support, we have a lot of support right here at around 102,000 if we were to see a further pullback here. And we also have a lot of support in between around 96 to 98,000 if the price of Bitcoin actually pulls back to those levels. I'm not saying the price will go to those levels. I'm just saying if we see a further pullback, expect a lot of support at those levels here. And now, even though the price of Bitcoin technically just briefly hit a new all-time record high, once again, we've not yet properly confirmed the breakout into new all-time highs. Ideally, we need to do that with a strong candle close above the previous all-time high. And this Bitcoin price chart right here is on the 3-day time frame. And if we're looking at the current all-time high, once again, it's at just above 109,000, which we've just now hit a new all-time high at also just above 109,000. And if we're taking a look at the last time we saw a significant confirmed breakout in the price of Bitcoin above the previous all-time high, that was around November 2024. Obviously, for weeks and months leading up to that point, we had already seen a decent recovery, a decent bullish move in the price of Bitcoin from the lows, just like what we've seen over the last couple of months. But what's very interesting is just before we confirmed the breakout last time, we actually saw a decent rejection from around the all-time high. We basically got all the way up towards all-time highs, pretty much just hit all-time highs, very close to new all-time highs. And then we saw a rejection from that level for around 2 candles here on the 3-day time frame. So of course that's 6 days, so roughly around a 1-week pullback before we ultimately broke out later on. And so in my opinion, we're possibly in a similar situation, not necessarily going to see the exact same thing, so not necessarily precisely a 1-week pullback, but we're likely going to struggle a little bit around this all-time high level. But overall, I'm still bullish on the larger momentum. And then once we ultimately confirm a breakout, ideally with at least a daily candle close, but ideally it'll be even better with a 3-day or a weekly candle close above around 109k to 110k. In that situation, of course, that will officially confirm the breakout on this price chart. And the last time that confirmed here with a 3-day candle close above that key level of resistance above the previous all-time high of course, we saw a major pump towards the upside. And if we end up seeing something similar this time around, so once we confirm a breakout above that level, above around 109 to 110k approximately, in that situation, in order to start determining the next major high, the next major point where we're going to start slowing down, I'll be paying attention to these two indicators in particular. So of course the RSI, especially on the 3-day time frame, and the MACD also showing the momentum. And so first of all, we can clearly see that the 3-day Bitcoin RSI is already right at around overbought territories, on the edge of overbought. But if we're looking at last time, when we were at this same level, right on the edge of overbought, we were only right at the breakout here. If we're actually looking at the candle where the RSI was just entering into overbought, we were only just at the breakout. And so obviously the price continued much higher, continuing a breakout here because we were seeing significant momentum pushing the price higher. But then once we started to see a decline in the RSI, in other words, a bearish divergence, while the price was forming higher highs, the RSI was forming lower highs, that was a strong indication that we were seeing a lot of weakness and about to see a slowdown in the bullish move. And at the same time as the RSI beginning to decline here, we were also seeing a decline in the histogram within the MACD indicator, showing a decline in bullish momentum. And obviously, as we can see here, those two signals showing weakness were happening at the same time as the price was still going towards the upside. So that was a sign telling us that we're approaching the next major top and we're soon going to start slowing down. And so I'll mainly be paying attention to those signals in the coming weeks or months. Obviously, once we first confirm a breakout here, we're still waiting for that breakout. And in the meantime, maybe for a couple of days, we could see a little bit more of a struggle in the short term. So keep that in mind, a struggle and then maybe a breakout. And then maybe in a few weeks or a month from now, for example, pay attention to these possible signals here. And if we're taking a look at a rough estimated price target for what we could be looking at if we first confirm a breakout into new all-time highs here, first of all, if we're taking a standard measured move from this previous breakout, once we broke out above the previous all-time high here, of course, we ran further than that measured move, but that was targeting roughly 100,000. And obviously we hit just above 100,000 before we started to top out. And this time around, if we're taking a look at roughly around the same measured move here, that suggests a possible price target at the next major high at roughly around 150k. And now I want to make it clear, definitely take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying we're guaranteed to go to 150k or anything like that. That's just a rough price target for what could likely happen once we first confirm a breakout here. But primarily, I'll be paying attention to these possible signals that will start revealing themselves in the coming weeks or months once we first confirm a breakout once again. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, for now, we're still possibly forming, not confirmed, but possibly forming a bearish divergence on the daily time frame. And if we're zooming into the 8-hour time frame, obviously the same bearish divergence here is a little bit more visible on the 8-hour time frame if we're zooming in, because we can clearly see the higher highs in the price of Bitcoin, which I've already confirmed for the price here. But for now, we've not yet fully confirmed the lower highs in place, but we're possibly soon getting close to confirming the lower high in place if we actually confirm a strong red candle here in the price. That basically confirms a strong rejection in the RSI. And of course, the last time we saw a bearish divergence on the 8-hour time frame, we did see a little bit of a pullback just for a couple of days, not necessarily a major crash or anything, but a bit of a cool off for a couple of days in the shorter term before ultimately continuing the larger bullish trend. So once again, when we're talking about the larger trends, the larger momentum for the price of Bitcoin, I'm still very much bullish, as I've been saying for a long time here on the channel, since pretty much all the way back down here. But just keep in mind that in the shorter term, from time to time, it's very much normal to see these little slowdowns here and there. So it's likely we're going to struggle a little bit around those all-time highs, maybe for a few days, maybe a week, and then ultimately break out and continue the larger bullish trend. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, obviously over the last one day, we took out that liquidity exactly as I've been talking about, as I mentioned in my last video here on the channel. Obviously, before we saw the latest bullish move here into all-time highs, I said it's extremely likely we're about to see a new bullish move here in the short term to take out this liquidity. And so now that that has played out exactly as I predicted in my last video, if we're actually zooming in on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see that we have some new levels to watch out for. And so first of all, we've just now built an area of liquidity at around 105,500. So in between around 105.5k to almost 106,000. So we could likely see a little bit more of a pullback just to take out that liquidity, which is obviously very close to the price of Bitcoin here. But then we are also now starting to build liquidity liquidity at roughly around 110,000. So based on this chart right here, what could be a likely scenario is we first see a little bit more of a pullback to take out this downside liquidity and then ultimately come back up maybe in a couple of days from now to take out this bullish liquidity here. And so when it comes to my Bitcoin trading strategy, obviously right now I'm still long on the price of Bitcoin, as I've been sharing every day since I entered this long position at around 88,000. Obviously I've been saying since then expect more bullish price action. I'm very much bullish on the price, which is why I'm in a long position. And so obviously over the last few weeks, for almost a month now, this has been playing out exactly as I've been predicting. But obviously over the last one day, you might notice that I have made some changes to this position since my last video. So first of all, I've slightly reduced the size of the trade, which means I have taken a small amount of profits out of this long position just over the last one day here. And that's mainly due to the fact that we're of course flashing this short-term warning signal, possibly soon getting close to confirming a short-term warning signal, maybe resulting in a slight little pullback or struggle once again around all-time highs before maybe breaking out later on in a few days or a week from now. And so due to those reasons, once again, I've just taken a small amount of profits off the table, but still long on the price of Bitcoin and did not close the entire trade, just slightly reducing the size of the trade. And I've also moved my stop loss further into profits, as we can see here. And so just being very transparent with this trade, you can see that currently my realized profits are now over 4,600 USDT and my unrealized profits are still sitting at roughly around 9,400. So obviously this trade has been going pretty well just over the last couple of weeks here. And obviously if you've been following this channel over the last few weeks, you should be making a lot of profits as what I've been showing here on the channel. But if you're new to the channel and you missed this trading opportunity, which I shared over the last couple of weeks, do not worry. There's always more trading opportunities and one that I'll share in just a moment. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos where I'm always revealing these trading strategies, telling you how we can make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market. And my next trading strategy for Bitcoin beyond this trade right here would be a potential breakout trade if we first confirm a breakout above all-time highs. So once we see the confirmation signal, once again, we've not fully confirmed the breakout, even though we've technically hit a new all-time high. Once we confirm a breakout with candle closes above all-time highs here, in that situation, I'll potentially open a breakout long position, essentially trading a bullish breakout here. And so the idea of that trading strategy would essentially be, for example, trading this previous move. So let's just say if I open a trade right at the confirmed breakout, kind of like what we saw in early November 2024, and then simply hold that long position until we start seeing some of these warning signals telling us we're losing momentum, and then taking profits around these levels here. Once we start losing momentum and slowing down, essentially that's the idea of the trading strategy that I soon might be implementing once we first confirm a breakout. But once again, we've not yet seen that confirmation signal. And so that's just letting you know in advance my next trading strategy that I'll likely take. But of course, for now, once again, I'm still in this swing trade, this long position, which I've been sharing here on the channel. And if you want to take the next trading opportunity for the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, like what I'm doing right here to make a lot of easy profits, obviously you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take the next trade. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link to 2bit, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses. Like for example, up to $50,000 you can claim using the link below this video just by trading crypto. But if you're not one of these larger traders, you can also claim a $30 sign up bonus and a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus, but only if you use that link. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there's also BTNex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. And in fact, this is likely the exchange I'll be taking my next Bitcoin trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to BTNex below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, 35,000 in USDT, and also deposit bonuses. Like for example, if you deposit $1,000, you also get a $200 bonus over on BTNex, but only if you use that link. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trading opportunity, definitely get set up ready to go using the links below this video to claim these massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And in case you're wondering, BTNex is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, and right now we're still still basically just trading in this sideways price range between this support and this resistance, which is obviously what I talked about in my last video. And so essentially in the immediate short term, we're looking somewhat neutral, not overly bullish or overly bearish, at least in the immediate short term. Technically, the larger price structure is still currently bullish for Ethereum on the daily time frame, but just in the short term, once again, we're taking a bit of a pause from all of the bullish price action. And the support and resistance to watch out for, first of all, we have a lot of support at roughly around 2.4k and a lot of resistance in between 2.7k to 2.8k. And now if we actually confirm a break with candle closes below around 2.4k, in that situation, we could possibly pull back down towards around 2.1k, but only if we first confirm a break below 2.4k. And of course, once we can ultimately confirm a breakout above the golden pocket, in that situation, we'll likely see a move up towards around 3.2k to 3.3k, but only first if we see a breakout above 2.8k. So for now, in the immediate short term, expect relatively boring price action for Ethereum, chopping around sideways, because technically speaking, on the 4-hour time frame, this bearish divergence is still somewhat influencing the price, at least in the short term. And of course, as I explained in my last video, while Bitcoin is making its move, usually altcoins don't move all that much. They move a little bit, but usually we see major altcoins move after Bitcoin already finishes its move. And so, for example, if Bitcoin continues to struggle a little bit in the short term and then ultimately confirms a breakout into new all-time highs, actually confirming the breakout once again, not just slightly hitting new all-time highs, in that situation, we'll likely see something similar for a lot of these altcoins here. So struggling a little bit and then breaking out, but usually that breakout happens after Bitcoin makes its move. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 3-day time frame, technically the bullish divergence is still playing out, as I've been saying since all the way back down here. So like I've been saying since then, expect a continued bullish relief as a very likely scenario. But of course, we can see little short-term cool-offs along the way towards the upside. So of course, this is still perfectly playing out exactly as I've been predicting. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, technically we're still finding support at this level at around 166 to 168. But if we confirm candle closes well below that level, and if we fail to get back above that level, in that situation, we could possibly drop down towards around 154. And below that, we have some major support at around 144 to 146. And as for resistance, we have a bit of short-term resistance around 184, but the next significant area of resistance is this golden pocket in between around 191 to 200. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term on the 4-hour time frame, technically this short-term bearish divergence, as I've been saying since all the way back up here, is still influencing the price in the short term, which means we should continue to expect a little bit of a struggle for Solana. So not necessarily significant bullish momentum. And that will especially be the case if Bitcoin struggles a little bit in the short term, especially if we confirm this bearish divergence for Bitcoin. That will likely result in a continued struggle for a lot of the altcoins in the short term. But then perhaps once we first play that out and then break out for Bitcoin, once again, we could likely see something similar for a lot of the altcoin market, but just basically delayed after the Bitcoin move happens first. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the daily time frame, for now, XRP is getting extremely close to breaking below this key level of support, which is sitting at around just above $2.30, so around 230 to 234. And if we confirm candle closes on the daily time frame below, especially $2.30, in that situation, we could possibly retrace all the way back down towards around 210 to 215. And that could be a likely scenario if Bitcoin is, of course, experiencing a struggle in the short term. Once again, just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is most likely going to happen for a lot of the altcoin market. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term XRP price chart on the 3-hour time frame, technically this bearish divergence is still somewhat influencing the price in the short term. So of course, we're still struggling to see a lot of bullish momentum. And so ultimately continue to expect a bit more of a struggle in the shorter term, but overall the price structure is technically still bullish. The trend is bullish on the daily time frame, as we are technically still forming higher lows and higher highs. But of course, during a bullish trend, we can see short-term cool-offs along the way towards the upside. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a very similar story for Chainlink as what I've been saying throughout this video. Of course, we're still struggling in the shorter term, but technically still within a bullish trend based on the price structure, still forming higher lows and higher highs. And for now, we're still holding above this key area of support, the golden pocket in between around 1490 to 1550. And as for resistance, we still have strong resistance at around 1760 approximately. And so overall, expect a continued struggle in the shorter term for the coming days, especially if Bitcoin struggles in the short term. We'll very likely see that for a lot of the altcoin market. And then perhaps after we first confirm a breakout for Bitcoin into new all-time highs, only then would I expect a continued breakout for most of these altcoins. And so even if you hold no Bitcoin and you have nothing to do with Bitcoin and you're just in the altcoin market, still definitely pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what could be likely for a lot of the altcoin market. And of course, once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can easily profit from the crypto market, like what I'm doing right here over on 2bit, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen, because the video in the top left shows you how you can easily profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.